You are now tuned in to Music, Men, and My Mental with your host, DeVone, tackling all things career, relationship, and your overall health.
Trifecta.
Let's get to it. Let's start the show.
All right. Hello. And thank you for tuning into Music, Men, and My Mental. I am DeVone, your host. Today is super special. I got a lovely guest today. And his name is Isaiah Michael Joyner. And I can go into you, but you can go into yourself probably a little bit better than I can. But I want
to hear you go into it.
Okay, I'll let you go. So he is the host of How to Juggle the Struggle. It is a podcast that is the millennials' survival guide to thriving and not surviving. On top of, like, he gives you Ayanla, he gives you Oprah, he gives you Deepak. Like, I actually was like, I'm going to bring my pen and my paper today because I'm going to take notes. His podcast will get you through, will get you motivated, pumped up, inspired, but also just like, yes, I appreciate that. So, but also you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Like, we're going to go into all of that. But, introduce yourself.
So, as you said, I'm Isaiah Michael Joyner, and thank you for always including my middle name. I must go by 3 names. So, Isaiah Michael Joyner.
Are you just a person who likes threes? Because I love threes. I do everything in threes.
I like my initials. I just like my initials, IMJ. I sign everything off with IMJ. Mm-hmm. And so it's just because I think I'm that grand. So IMJ is, but Isaiah Michael Joyner. And I am the founder of Reserve Concierge. It is a corporate event and gifting solutions company. What does that mean? That means that I am the person behind a lot of magic that people receive or experience firsthand.
Magic that you receive or experience yourself?
Firsthand. Yeah.
I love it.
And so I have been in business for 8 years. I've created magic for the US Open, BT, Essence, OWN, Viacom, a bunch of other Viacom companies such as VH1, BuzzFeed, the list goes on.
Okay, yes.
And so I literally I'm a hustler.
That man, you are juggling it yourself.
I'm juggling it for sure, indeed.
So how did you come up with the podcast? The whole, the theme of the show is all about this trifecta of your balancing your career, your relationships, and your overall health, mental health, etc. And you are all about this, juggling this struggle. So this struggle, what is this struggle to you?
The struggle to me, so answer to your first question, how I came up with the podcast was because there was a lot of struggling going on, right?
Oh, right.
And I realized that the struggling was going on not just internally for myself and mentally, but also the struggling that I would hear from so many others, right?
Right.
People struggling and just everyday life, especially for those millennials who live here in New York City. We know that struggle, right?
Right.
And so the podcast came out of me being still and hearing God's voice.
Okay.
And him telling me to do that. I fought it for a minute. I heard it from other people, but it wasn't until I heard his voice that I surrendered and said, yes, I'll do it. And to answer your second question, when it comes to
we just did a praise hands for that. I just surrendered and then we just came. Okay.
I'm learning about surrendering. And then secondly to that, what I realized the importance of it, to answer your other question about just the struggle, it comes out of my struggle, right? And what that struggle is. And I know that if I share what I'm dealing with and how I struggle, then I understand that it will empower somebody else to deal with their struggle.
Absolutely.
Moreover, it will be therapeutic for me to get through what I'm going through if I share,
And that's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. Because sometimes you're dealing with things and you actually can help other people in the process. Some people are like, well, you can't give advice because, you're dealing with that same problem.
Totally.
But sometimes you can deal with it together, or my experience can help you deal with yours.
I always say that you can't, it's deadly to keep your mouth closed.
Okay.
And especially when you're on your journey, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were like, oh, when we get through this, we can tell this. And I said, no, I don't want to, when we get through this, let's talk about while we're going through it, right? And because I believe that if you talk about what you're going through as transparent as you are, my friends always say, they're like, Isaiah, one thing we know for a fact is when you make it rich, right? When you make it, one, there's two things we know about you. One, people are always going to be like, well, that was always him, right? Because that was just my taste level. But secondly, they were like...
That was my taste level.
That was my taste level. But then secondly, they're going to always say that there was no... He didn't change the way he was, right? I was completely who I was the whole time. And I shared the ups, the downs, the not so beautiful moments. I was transparent, right? And so I believe in being transparent in the journey and where you are. And that doesn't mean sharing everything, right?
Right.
Or it doesn't mean sharing with everyone, but you must share.
Absolutely. So getting to this, how to juggle the struggle, you have these PowerPoints, right? Is that what we call it?
3 points of power.
3 points of power. And they're so amazing.
Thanks.
But when you like really narrow down how your guide to how you juggle the struggle, go into those points of power for that.
So I'm a church kid, right? I was born and raised in a church, still go to church. And I started realizing when I was coming out with the podcast that some of the most powerful sermons that I had heard and retained were from ministers who were able to give 3 points. I don't know if that's the new school of theology that they at seminary school but I was like, oh, I'm taking this, right? And I realized that 3 points allows you to walk away with, ooh, I got this, right? I know this. And so my 3 points, they change depending on the situation, right? That's why I give 3 different points each podcast, right? That I'm by myself and not interviewing a guest, or I allow guests to give their 3. But to juggle the struggle and the 3 that I can always give top line that always are applicable. The first one is that you are enough.
I like that. Simple.
You are enough. We fight that a lot, especially as Black people. Ooh, am I good enough? Or am I worth having? Or can I actually tell them I cost this? If you're good at what you do, then you are enough.
Absolutely.
Right? You are enough in all situations, right? And even in your lowest moments, you are enough. Why? Because you are equipped and you are a child of the King, right? So you're enough.
Okay.
Point 2 would always be that the best is yet to come.
Okay.
No matter what the situation is, it sounds cliche, but the best is always yet. I end every podcast with the best is yet to come, right?
I like that.
Because sincerely, I believe it on this earth and next, right? The best is yet to come. And then the third point that is always applicable to any time that you are in something is that if you remain calm, then all will work out well.
Yes, talk about that briefly, because you went into like, people going into like this frenzy, and you were like, that's kind of like, that's how you start to, juggle the struggle. Because if you walk into a place and you were talking about like a person, and I have been this person, I come and I'm like, I just got a new place, my dog died, I just broke up with this guy, whatever. And it's like, you're thinking you're sharing and you're just like, how's your day? Girl, and you just go into it and it's like, you're actually just like this, frantic person who's just all over, and everyone's like, ooh, and they're exhausted by hanging with you.
Totally, you weigh down the room.
You wear them out.
You're talking about one of the most recent episode, I think it was 30, like how you're juggling, right? And I talk about how, it's easy to talk about, like, even when I first walked in here, I went into, right? And I had to check myself then to tell myself, wait, hold up, stop complaining, because I'm happy to talk about the clients, right? Because if I had no clients, I would have much not to talk about, right? But I think a lot of times we are it's engraved in us to complain.
Right.
It's actually, we feel it's our birthright to complain, right? And to walk into a space and really just like vomit everything that you're going through and put on somebody and weigh somebody down. So when I talk about when you talk about juggling and how you're juggling and how important it is to juggle efficiently and juggle positively, it's key. And so I was talking about on that podcast in particular of how many people who have prayed to God and asked God for the job, the family, the career, like whatever it is, right? And then whatever whatever. And then when they have it all, they complain about it, right? And so and then just people, and then just also people being consistent, right? Like I talked about how we say often, we're just so booked and busy, right? And how we use that as honestly, we use that colloquialism and just keep saying, oh, we're booked and busy, because it sounds good. It's catchy, right? But at the end of the day, if we're dropping commitments, if we're not being able to return calls, if we're not being able to be great friends, then how blessed are you?
Right. And it wasn't created for that.
It wasn't created for that, right?
To, you know, someone thriving and really, you know, glowing up in their career,
Absolutely.
but also not. And I'm a big person. I don't want, like, you know, we had a conversation and I'm like, you know, so busy, but you know what? We'll make time for this.
Yeah.
Let's do this, you know, because
this is why I'm dressed like I am right now, right?
Right.
Because I shared with you when I came in, I literally went to the gym this morning, had a 9 a.m. call.
Okay.
And then I realized, I was like, oh, I got to be there, right? I hopped on the train and I was like, I have no time to do anything, but it's
and
about...
you still smell good. That's all that matters. Like, you know, just throw a little cologne on and it's
That's
okay.
just taste level. That's just good. That's a good cologne. But I will tell you that it's about commitment, right?
Right.
And so for me, I knew that if I committed to this date and time, come hell or high water, whatever else I have going on, as many emails that I have right now to respond to clients, it was a part of my commitment because it's about me juggling.
And then you water yourself down because then you're the person that's like, you're just unavailable, like you're unapproachable, like you really do have to balance out a little bit better when you are so busy, or, you know, or ask for the help to say, listen, you know, or pad yourself the time.
Pad yourself the time.
Because if you know that you are busy, like, hey, you know what? 11, it's fine. I'm gonna move that to 12, and I'm gonna eat, because then you'll psych yourself out. So that's maybe just little strategies for that.
Totally.
But yes, dating wise, if you say like you're busy, that's like a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
It's a big deal breaker.
And I always say there's a difference between being busy and fruitful. I don't want to be busy. Busy is insanity to me. So when somebody's like, oh, I'm just so busy, you keep that busyness.
Keep it.
I'm fruitful. Because that means that I can do one or two things throughout the day, right? And nothing else.
Right.
But if it produces something and it pours into someone else, that's what I want.
That's
Busy could be, oh my God, I just keep sending out emails but getting no return, no response.
absolutely.
Busy could be, oh my God, I continuously have called every person and I've done X, Y, Z and I've done that. But at the end of the day, you feel depleted when you're done. When I'm done from what I'm doing, I feel fulfilled.
And then this is funny. It brought up another point. Some people do that and then they feel like they don't deserve like a lot of things. Like they feel like they don't deserve to give themselves gifts and things like that because they're so busy and nothing's coming in. They're just working. And now they feel like they don't deserve. So they're not balancing it out because all they're doing is just working and not necessarily feeding themselves like mentally or physically or just the things that they like to make themselves feel good.
It's not a holistic approach to living. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to some other stuff. I like these. we're diving into things too. I don't know which one I want to go to first, but that Lima Rita story, I had to pull over in my whole car because it hit me. I think I called you. And I said, listen, this is it. Besides that, his voice is so soothing and he's got the spiritual TD thing going on, Can you go into this Lima Rita story?
So Crystal's referring to an episode. Actually, I think it's probably one of the first or second. It's probably the second, third episode I did. And I was sharing at a moment in my life where I lived in Harlem, and I was, my money. As I said, my money was funny and my change was strange. I was broke, right? And I remember I had whatever I could do, whenever I had no money, I was like, the one thing I will do is entertain, right? I had a great apartment and I was like, everybody come over. A bunch of people came over.
But the funny part about it is he was like, this is how I would get liquor in my house because I would be like, hey, come over. Everyone brings something. And then you have a bunch of stuff just left over from more parties and more parties.
And exactly. And there were a few things that I remember somebody leaving, and it was my dear friend. She was with me. She stayed over, and there was Chateau Diane, and those who drink, they will know that is like the cheap of the cheap, no taste level. And then
no taste level.
And then
noted, guys, do not bring that over to somebody's house party.
It's corner store, it's 6% volume, and I look at the volume. And so, especially with wine. And it was a bag of Lima Ritas. And at the time, I wasn't shading Lima Ritas because prior to me, elevating my taste level, a Lima Rita was like the go-to, right? It was a quick cheap, whatever.
Right. So you wake up, you have huge party in your house. Everybody's there. People waking up. And then you realize there's only like 2 things left in this house. There's no food. There's nothing. We ain't got no money. Boom. And we see, these 2 trashy drinks that you're like.
There's a bag of Limeritas on the, there's a bag of Limeritas on the counter. And the funny thing is that I was sharing on this, when I shared the story originally, that Limeritas, you go to the corner store and get, right? But this particular person actually went to the grocery store near my house. And so they left the bag with the Limeritas, with the receipt. And that morning we woke up, my friend and I, everybody was gone. And we were like, I was like, girl, what are we going to eat? And she was like, I don't know. She was like, oh my God. I go to the kitchen, go to the refrigerator, see there's nothing there. I'm like, okay.
Nothing.
I turn around and I look, and it was one of those moments like, girl, there's nothing there. She and I are talking, and I was like, wait, there's some Limeritas here. She looks at me and she was like, and I said this, you always have to have someone who is down for the cause, right?
Right.
With you. And she said, well, shit, did he leave a receipt? And I was like, let me check. They did. Long and the short, it sounds crazy, but we were able, who knew that Limeritas cost that much? But it was, I believe, $13 that we were able to return. So we got a pack of bacon, we got eggs, and like 2 rolls. And we made breakfast. And I share that story always because I'm always like, God makes a way. Right. And so, 1, God always will make a way. But 2, we also have to realize that the ways that are being made are right in front of us. And that we always have enough. Right? And so, as I shared, I looked at those Limeritas. I knew that was not going to be breakfast, but I was able to figure it out and say, listen, he provided it. I'm going to turn this into breakfast. All right? And so...
Also not like, it was something that was like, oh my gosh, why did someone even bring this to my house?
Yeah.
This is trashy. Like, let's just throw it away, or let's just keep it for the next party, opposed to really just looking, you looked at it through a different lens. And it just changed, and the whole day just went up from there.
Life is about being resourceful.
Butter. One more time?
Life is about being resourceful. And if you've gone to college, you know about, like, listen, limited resources, you make it work, right?
Ramen noodles, I have made some udon, like I have hooked it up,
Right. You are probably a chef de cuisine of, ramen noodles. You got it. Yes.
Absolutely. So this goes into another one. Being resourceful, having a different lens, but exceeding expectations. Yeah. That's my favorite Bible verse as well. But like,
I will do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ever ask for, right? Isn't that powerful? Yes.
This guy, I love you. But go into those points that you went into that.
Exceeding expectations. I said that this year was my year of exceeding expectations. And because I believe that, because it is written on my written board. I don't even call it a vision board anymore. I call it a written board because I believe in writing it, right?
Okay.
And so
So not just putting visual elements, like actually like writing
it, because
that $30,000 check that you got from one client, or,
writing it out, because it says in the book, write the vision, make it plain, right? Just write the vision, make it plain. I talked about this recently to friends. Doesn't mean I want to be a millionaire and I will be the first Black doctor. It doesn't mean all that. What it just means is I am bound for success.
Okay.
I am grateful. Simple words. Like, some of the most powerful sentences are 3 words. It is well. All is well. I am love. Whatever, right?
Right.
So I wrote it down, right? Exceed expectations. 2019, I will exceed expectations. And when I wrote it, I meant that I will exceed my expectations. The limited expectations that I had on myself, I was flushing them down the toilet. And I was going to exceed those limited expectations. And then I was going to exceed the expectations that people put on myself.
Okay.
And that's the one a lot of times we have trouble with from our parents. What do you mean you own a business and you stay at home with your mama? What do you mean by that, right? From friends. Oh, well, I remember when you used to do this, or you used to come here. You know what I mean? And from significant, whatever that is. But
they go into everything, and you used to look like this when you had this.
But that's because people don't divorce who you used to be. Ooh. They're still married to it, right? So, and there will be some people who will be married to that thought for the rest of your life. Right. You will be a multimillionaire, and they will still think that you was the $2 hoe who had no money. You know what I'm saying? Divorce that.
Child.
You know what I mean? I don't want anybody in my court who is married to who Isaiah was. Right?
I am not a $2 hoe. I am a $5 hoe
Exactly.
now.
Moved on up.
I'm delivered. Just kidding.
But we have to exceed expectations. And I think the thing is this, we have to escape the limits. You know what I mean? And we limit ourselves. We limit what we can do. We limit our possibilities. We have to escape the limits. And then we also have to make sure that we go above and beyond. And these are not my 3 points within that, but just a part of exceeding expectation. I thought about something the other day and I was like, oh, I want to do this, right? I was like, this would be, how great would this be to do, I'm a concierge, right? I have a concierge business. How dope would that be to have a concierge service down at Festival? And I used to have this at Festival, right? Started for Essence, for their VIPs. But then I was like, cool, I moved on and I've been doing bigger things, right? But I was like, how dope would it be? I'm already gonna be down there for a client, right? To then simultaneously, because I believe in 7 revenue streams, right?
Seven revenue
says it
streams.
in the book. 7 revenue streams. Says it in the word. But I believe in it. And so I said, well, how dope would it be in the 9th inning to just come up with a virtual concierge program for these executives and people who have coins, dollars rather, and who want to spend and need to navigate the festival weekend, right? And then this is something that could live on. I already do it for the Open, as you know. So then I can take this from multiple big events in the country, right? I thought about it, but then today there's already an email that's getting ready to go out with the format. I got the graphic designer that did it. It's the whole 9, right? The membership and everything. And I executed on it. If I get 1 to 2 clients, I made another few dollars, right? But the thing is, I'm looking at myself like, shit. I didn't even know I had it in me until I told myself that I was going to do it.
Ooh,
and I think that's the thing.
A lot of for the people in the back.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we don't know what we have in us until the opportunity presents itself to do it.
Absolutely.
So for me, I was like, I'm going to exceed expectations. I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to create this program, right? Anything that I want for 2019 and beyond is for the taking.
Ooh.
I am not, and there's something,
inspired.
and I'm telling you, and then those who had those expectations on me, I even start hearing them say, wow, Zay, you really, there's a lot's going on for you. Ooh, something's different. I'm exceeding my expectations and I'm also limiting yours.
Ooh.
Period. So the next time, whoever's listening and watching, whatever, you wonder if you can do it, you can.
You can.
And you will find out that the things that you have within you that you never knew that you had, you won't be able to birth those things until you get ready to exceed your expectations.
Ooh, child. That's a word. I love it. So, and this is the segue into, you talked about return of investment, like the ROI. Like everyone says it in business and marketing, but you were talking about for yourself. Like,
oh, yeah.
For real. So now that you've
That's part of that mental health too.
Yes. Go into that.
Return on investment is just important. We invest in too much overall, right? We invest in things we don't need. People who don't serve us, situations that are lackluster. And I'm getting clear about what I'm investing in, right? And so I say all the time.
How can you see what that looks like? Do you have to just sit down and do an evaluation, or you just see what's not making you money? Like, what does that look like?
How do you feel? I go off of feeling. If I'm spending too much.
We're the same sign. I feel like we're just very feely. Like
I
we're
feel
like,
it.
That don't feel good.
Right.
Can't do it.
But the thing is this, if you're in tune to yourself and into your higher self, we know those feelings, right? We know that where it's like, oof. That's like going and sitting down at the table at the restaurant and spending and putting $200 down, but knowing that you could be putting $200 towards your credit card. I'm the perfect example of that.
Listen,
but I'm getting so clear now on what I'm putting out and what I'm getting in return. And I realize a lot of times we're so for the good time, right? For the good time, right?
And it's temporary.
It's temporary. So right now, for me, any relationship, any situation, any experience, I have to ask myself, well, what's the return on this? For me to show up to the person's birthday party, but they don't give a damn about if I'm eating at night or sleeping well, why am I going? For me to call somebody just to say, hey girl, what's up? But know that she's not going to ever return that call when I'm down and out. Why am I calling? The return on investment has to be worth your while. And I think people, it's simple. It's just not about business, but it's about personal. And worth your mental space.
Oof.
You got to check that, right? So, and you have to do a lot of mental work. So a lot of times if I know somebody's going to wear me out, and I know the return on me calling her is going to take me out or take me out from talking to him, I'm not doing it. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means that I love myself and I'm owning what the return will be. And if I know the return is not going to be what I need, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
But that's twofold too. We have to make sure we're returning what people are investing in us too.
And it's not always money. It's not always, they can be something. That person's just super reliable.
Time,
or
energy.
And they make you feel good. There's people who like always late. They never got no money, but when they're there, they make you feel really good.
Yeah.
You know, even though you're a little pissed off sometimes, but you're like, wow, this person's really good. Like it could be something. It's got something.
It's the heart matter, right? You always say it's the heart of the matter. What does the heart feel? And if the heart feels and understands that this person, damn, she gets on my nerve, or I know she's going to try to itemize this bill that just came out at the table, and we're like, girl, let's just pay it, whatever. Like, but if you feel great and your heart feels good when you're around that person, then but always, again, go back to the heart.
ROI, feeling of the heart with the ROI. Sounds like an album, right? Or like a song, feeling of the.
It's something. It's a lyric, I think. It's a little long for an album.
All right, so this is my last thing you said is undeniable truth.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, let's go and, because I mean, like, okay, be honest with yourself, be truthful. But you kind of broke it down a little bit differently. Go into that.
I talk about the undeniable truth, and the undeniable truth is there is nothing that somebody sees with Isaiah Michael Joyner that he doesn't know. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, I feel like I know this about him. I know. I know. You ain't got to tell me. And I know that you can tell me more than anything by what you say or do to me, right? So sometimes if I sit back and I listen, somebody will say something, dear friends, and I'm like, oh, that's what you think about me, right? Got it.
That is so true.
People will always tell you what they think when they're just casually talking.
And they'll say, oh my God, you're so smart, whatever. But then they're like, girl, don't listen to her.
Yeah.
She never see her points in, you know.
So that person right there, right.
You know she don't be knowing what she's talking about.
Right. That's the discreditor in the room. So when you start sitting back and listening, you always know what people think. But that's fine. I think you also have to be to the point of knowing also who you are, right? And in order to know who you are and where you are, you have to be truthful with yourself. And so the undeniable truth came out of me saying just a call to action to people to be true. And I shared some of my truths first. I shared that I love to drink. I love to drink, right?
So you would have had those limeritas, but she was just too hungry to drink. And probably hungover because you had a party.
Or I would love to have a glass right now, but I'm not having one.
We're not doing that today because we trying to get our mind right.
Exactly. And I use sometimes drinking as the excuse to just be able to have fun, right? And so as many of us do, but that's my truth. My truth is that I spend more than I save. My truth is that currently I live at home with my mama. Why? Because when I started my company and after a while, the landlord was like, I'm gonna sell this, and where did I have to go? I have nothing in savings. That's my truth, right? But I don't mind sharing my truth because I know the truth is temporary. And the long-lasting truth is something else, right? And so when I'm able to separate the two, I'm able to live with my truth. And I'm able to share it.
Wow.
You know?
Listen, it's funny because so now we're going into how you're balancing out your career, your relationships, and your mental. We'll do the rating at the end, but like right now, how are you feeling about your career?
I am feeling confident. I'm feeling grateful. And I'm feeling that, as I said, the best is yet to come.
And what about your relationships? How are you dealing with
personal or like sexual relationships?
Both, or both. You know, I like to get a little messy. So I mean, I always start with like, okay, you know, how me and my friends doing? Like, you know, I can call them. They feel good. They're not exhausted because I remember when I was exhausting my friends. And now I've narrowed it down to 2 people I can exhaust.
Right.
I'm like, she doesn't mind me exhausting her.
That's considerate of you.
But also because she's going to turn around and say, look, this is my time today. Can you listen? And I have to do the same. But that, and then there's like just relationships with, you know, sexual, physical, all that stuff.
Right.
Where you at?
I am on a friendship, platonic level. I am the friend who actually, I always want to go above and beyond, right? And that's for family, that's for whoever. And so on that level of friendship, I'm consistent. But because I'm so consistent with that, I have to know when I have to put guardrails up.
Oh,
and I have to learn when to say yes and when to say no. And so I'm doing much better at that.
Take notes on that one. When to say yes and when to say no, because that's very key.
You'll be depleted. And I found myself being depleted, being a slave to yes, right? Yes, I'm sure. What? Yeah. And I was leaving with nothing. And so on a friendship and family level, I've learned when to be like, nope. I ain't just gonna respond to that text. Why?
Right. I'm getting so bad at that.
Yeah.
Stop.
And especially with me, it's a little different because I'm in a service industry job, right? You are too, though, right? And when you are in service, people always expect you to be in service.
Right.
So I have to shut down the service and be like, not today, right?
Okay.
But that does not. Every Monday, I send out a morning inspirational text that comes to my heart from God. I send it out every Monday to a group of people, right? That's my consistency to friendship.
Are you going to start putting that in like an emailer? So like we can get
Some
this
people say
juggle,
that. A lot of people say that. I could, but yeah, that could be one of my 7 revenue streams, right?
Okay, right.
And
Here
so,
we go.
but I do it because of out of consistency. So I'm consistent. When I think about friendships, I think about where I am in relationships, I'm consistent. When I think about personal, like dating, I'm surrendering.
What does that surrendering?
So what that means is that I am open to, I'm dating someone and
one person.
One person, yes.
This is New York City. You can dating is like, there's someone in every borough and like
I've had that fun and it's hard to turn it off. So that's why I'm surrendering to really being focused with one person and realizing more than anything that
surrendering, like you just like that person, you want to focus on them, or surrendering like, you know what, this is something I want to do for my own mental.
Surrendering because the person is good to me.
Got you.
And we have something going on.
Okay.
But I get in my way of thinking what else is out there. Never satisfied. Always looking for what else. That's me, right?
That's just
and
men.
so I don't want to block what has been provided for. And I can't have on a vision board, I want to date. And then when the dating knocks on my door or I want a significant other and a companion. And then when that companion knocks on my door and our paths align, then I try to derail the train.
Right.
Because then what happens, I believe you send the message to the creator like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Or I'm ungrateful. So when I say I'm surrendering, because this year is my year of exceeding expectations and growth, I need to grow. And I need to say, well, there is other things out there. But in this moment, I don't need those other things. I'm fine with this.
Do you think you can grow if you just have a bunch of people that you're dating? Or it's just totally different?
It's all about energy, right? And so you spread that energy too thin, no, you can't grow. You know what I mean?
Right. Right, because this person likes this person likes to drink, this person likes to watch a lot of movies.
And dating you should do like, when you're like trying to figure it out, but what level of dating? And I'm not the dater who can just be like, oh, I'm going on a date with this person tonight, and then tomorrow night I'm going with someone. Like I start to date the same way, right? We cooking in the house, we play house really quick, right? And so for me, and so because of that dating is a lot of time and energy, because if I'm doing that with multiple people, and we're not talking about sexual, right? We're just talking about time, right? And so with that time and energy and that level of dating I like, for me, I haven't mastered being able to date multiple people at the same time.
Me neither.
So I'm in a space right now when dating of surrendering and seeing what the possibilities will be and not fighting it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So how is Isaiah's mental and physical? I mean, you went to the gym.
Yeah.
You came in, I mean, it seems like the energy is great, but like, how do you feel?
I feel good. Health-wise, health is important to me. Health, how they say health is wealth. It is true. And for me, being a young Black gay guy, right? In New York City, where, the rate of STDs and everything else is whatever, right? It's high, especially for Black and Hispanic. But for me, it is one of those things that I'm grateful for, that I've always just put my health first. And so when we talk about relationships, we talk about dating, we talk about sexuality, it is one of those things that health has always come first for me. And so I maintain a healthy life, and not just about sexual health, right? But I also maintain a healthy life with daily vitamins, workout. I could eat better. I could put down the booze a little bit more, which I'm working on. But you only get one life. I want to be that person. When I used to work at Essence, there was a woman there, and she would walk in the room and she would glow. It wasn't because she just went on vacation. It was because she just had an inner glow, and the inner glow, honestly, a part was probably her health, right? I want to be that person. I want to glow when people see me, like, I want God's light first, right? And then I want that light also to be radiant because of my health. And so, yeah. So healthy. And then on the mental note, mental is key for me. Mental is, I will give to mental nonprofit organizations in the near future. My family definitely deals with mental health.
Mine too.
And it's funny because I used to think it was just like my mom's side, right? Where I was like,
that's because it's over on that side.
Yeah,
it's not over here.
Yeah, and I used to but those were my mom's side. And my family, like my grandfather, we knew that he was bipolar, right? But he was diagnosed, and we knew those things, right? And so we talk about it, right? We have that type of healthy dialogue about mental health. But then I realized on my father's side, there's some mental going on that they don't talk about. And I'm like, so both sides are plagued with mental issues. And I mean, let's be clear, most of us are, right?
Right.
And mental is just not about we need medicine, but mental is also how we don't check ourselves, our egos, our insecurities. And so if you don't check all that and you keep bagging it on and adding it on, you can be really in a bad mental space. So for me, I talk about all the time, my mental is good because I make sure I do the mental work. And the mental work is making sure that I do things that make me feel good. I hang around people that uplift me. I talk about it when I don't feel good. I don't hold it in. I never hold it in, ever.
But without being like exhausting to the person.
Just I find somebody
in the right space.
I find an ally and somebody that I can just say, girl, let me talk to you about this. You know what I mean? Or let me share with you, and they can make some sense of the conversation. I have a divine 9, right? There are 9 people, almost like the Greek organizations, right? There are 9 people in my life who I can call at any moment and get some piece of trusted advice from. I won't call one about relationships. I may call somebody else, but my divine 9, the mental is important. And I believe the mental is important because also after you shared, you got it off your chest. It's important to be able to affirm yourself.
Wow.
And affirm by words, right? Words of affirmation, and making sure that you really handle your mental by speaking it. Because once you think it and you start speaking it, then so you shall be it.
And then write it, right?
You got to write it.
You got to write it.
Think it, write it.
Think it, speak it, write it.
Yeah, think it, speak it, write it. Think it, speak it, write it. Think it, speak it, write it. Yes.
All right, so now you have to rate yourself. So we have, since it's all about music with myself, you have to we're going to give you an emoji. You love soulful music, so I'm going to give you Erykah Badu emojis.
Okay.
And you get to rate your career, your relationships, and your overall health with these emojis. So.
Okay. I think I'm getting this.
You get it?
Wait, no, explain.
So you're going to have 3 emojis. You're going to have the Badu face that's like not really like not doing that well with it. And then we're going to have a middle one. She gives the best shade of all time. She gives the and then we have the happy, which she always has a happy face. So you have the happy, you have
I think we should switch
shade,
up too, though. And then
what is this? Sagittarius? We think we should switch it up.
Yeah,
what are you trying to do over here? What is this?
This is so me to be in control, right? I think we should. No, I like the layout. I just think the faces. I think Erykah, when I think of her, who I love dearly.
Yes.
I think Erykah. I think she has bad bitch face, right? Like just like. I'm bad. I can walk into the room.
Then
Very elusive, right? You don't know what. And then I think she has a second face. I think Erykah has is. Then we could do shady, right?
Okay,
and then we could do happy. Like I think the first 2 before were not like.
So we should just do 2.
Let's just do 2.
Let's just do 2.
Let's do 2.
Shade on, because I kind of feel like she goes into 2. We're going to compromise on this one. Okay, career. what are we giving? Which Erykah Badu face are we giving?
Happy.
Happy.
Yes.
Okay. For your relationships, what are we going to give?
Happy.
Happy. Okay.
Yeah.
And for your overall health, mental health, physical health, what are you going to give?
Happy.
Okay.
Shit, I ain't gonna lie. I'm
You
happy.
are balancing
Yes.
this dish out. Here we go. The trifecta.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And that doesn't mean that I don't have areas to improve on, but right now where I am, I'm happy.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
For being on this show. And how can we find you and your podcast?
Well, Crystal, you told me before this podcast started that I have very low, I have very low involvement on social media. So I don't even know if I should share that. But I told
they can follow your podcast.
Yes, and I told Crystal that remember this, y'all, low visibility, low profile, high visibility, right? So we want to operate on a low visible. People don't need to see us. So we can operate on a high altitude and be at our highest selves. So
that doesn't work for me. However, for you, you're thriving in that. For me, I just want to post every hour.
Oh my God, every hour?
No, not hour, just like every 2 hours.
But no, I can be found on Instagram. So it's Isaiah, ISAIAH, Michael J.
Okay.
Or How to Juggle. So How to Juggle The Struggle, also on Instagram. Those
and
are my two.
on iTunes, podcasts.
Oh, podcast, How to Juggle the Struggle. iTunes, How to Juggle the Struggle.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And he'll also be doing some parties in New York if you follow him. I'm DJing one of them.
You are.
Yes, the podcast will be out by the time, but
we'll talk about it. Yeah, they'll hear about it. Yes.
Follow us. Anyway, so thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in to Music Men and My Mental. I'm DeVone. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us, do all the great things. And you can also email us at musicmenandmymental@gmail.com if you want to ask some questions, some topics. You're struggling. You need a juggle. You need to balance this trifecta. Let us know. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time.